Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Alpha. Alpha marks the story of dog becoming man's best friend, with an early man meeting a wolf and how their bond begins. But this movie was plagued with some confidence issues, I believe, from Sony Pictures, as they moved it from early beginning of the year, which is already a scary season, to another scary season, which is August. And my hopes for this film weren't all that high. I was thinking maybe it could be cute, maybe it could be nice, but it seems they don't have much confidence in it, so why should I? But I think this is a perfectly okay, serviceable movie for what it's trying to accomplish. So let's talk about those positives first. The biggest compliment I have is the visuals were actually pretty impressive. Much better than I ever thought they were going to be, honestly. I thought from those trailers that visually this was going to look horrible. And for the most part, it was actually a really nice looking film. There are shots at the beginning of this movie that are absolutely stunning. The cinematography is really beautiful throughout, but it starts off on a great note. Now, as we go, there is a shot here and a shot there where the green screen is a little bit evident, or where the visual effects are not quite as smooth and seamless and realistic as you might hope. But as we've learned from Game of Thrones, doing animals with fur is actually insanely hard when it comes to CGI. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. So the wolves in this film I thought looked great, whether CGI or husky pseudo wolf breeds that they use often. The buffalo I thought looked good overall. The landscapes looked beautiful. So overall, this is a very beautiful looking film, with just a couple of exceptions spotted throughout the movie. I also think it is a nice story between a boy and his dog. It is a pretty standard boy and his dog type of film, but I think more or less it gives it a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a spin, and it works nicely. There are moments that are going to tug at any dog lover's heartstrings. There are a lot of nice little sentimental moments that really keep the movie going. They establish the bond just enough to keep us invested and interested as we move through. And I actually do think they took risks in this film. Now, not all of them pay off. There's one in particular involving ice and snow creeping onto the screen that I thought was horribly cheesy and did not need to be done. But otherwise, I think some of the shot selection, some of the angle movement, there were some risks taken stylistically that I wasn't really prepared to see, and I thought mostly paid off. And it was nice to see those kind of like stylistic flares thrown into this film that otherwise is pretty standard. So what about those negatives? Unfortunately, there are a lot of negatives. First of all, it happens right off the bat in the film. We get these beautiful establishing shots that kind of show the world. Beautiful mammoths and landscapes and water that are just gorgeous. And then we go straight into a pretty big action set piece that is important to the film. Then after that, we jump back a week in time. One of the two needed to be cut. We did not need to build up to that sequence after we had already seen it. So if they wanted to start us off with a bang, should have just kept going right from there, taken the time to more fully develop this relationship, let the relationship breathe a little bit longer and more naturally progress. Or don't show it at the beginning. Establish this beautiful landscape and then use that time further establish this community and the community that this boy comes from to begin with. The movie is short. It doesn't have a long runtime, so they could have padded it even a little bit to establish both the tribe at the very beginning and establish the relationship with the wolf. But then again, I say that, and I think all of our human characters are weak. I was just kind of like waiting for us to get to the wolf bits as we were going through all of this with the humans. Now, I do think part of it pays off at the end, and it's nice to know where this boy comes from, but it would have been nicer if it wasn't all so cliche. All of this, you're the next one to take over, you have to be strong. Of course, it's the weird boy who actually has a heart amongst all the hardened Neanderthals that gets lost and turns out to be maybe the toughest one of them all. Very How to Train Your Dragon-esque, which in and of itself also is not a new concept per se. And then once we do meet the wolf and we do start to develop there, I appreciated that we got a nice little stretch at the beginning of the wolf being a wolf and acting like a wolf. But then once we start progressing, it goes to dog very, very fast. So I actually would have liked a little bit longer in that in-between area. And the moment that really struck me as a bit ingenuine was a turn back that happens on ice. I'm not going to say any more so I don't spoil it, but it felt very ingenuine, and I wondered why it happened this way. I thought it happened in a very silly way in general, from both the boy and the wolf standpoint. What happened there was like, oof, what is this? There's also a twist that happens at the end that makes sense for what it's trying to say and being an establishment for society type movie, but it doesn't make sense for wolf behavior in the slightest to me. It retroactively made me go back through the film and be like, oh no, this would not be how this went down. And I also think our lead performer's just a bit flat. I don't want to say that he was bad, but he really wasn't that good either. And since we fully depend on him to sell this relationship with the wolf, I think the wolf was doing all of the heavy lifting in the relationship building. We connected with that wolf. And Alpha, the wolf, had all the personality, while the boy was really just flat throughout the film. So overall, we've seen this film done many times before, and if I'm being honest, we've seen it done a whole lot better many times before. But if you are a dog lover, I think there is quite a bit to at least enjoy in this film. Plus, it looks very nice. So if you are interested in seeing Alpha, if you enjoy boy and his dog type of movies, I would give this a matinee because it's pretty enough to see on the big screen. And I did see it in 3D, and they utilized that 3D several times to pretty nice effect throughout. But I don't know that it necessarily warrants that extra price. So standard 2D matinee is my recommendation if you like dogs. Otherwise, it's a bit slow. It doesn't have as much action as I think you might hope it does. And a lot of it is a bit silly when you actually stop to think about what's happening. I'd give this a rental. I think it is worth checking out. It's not a horrible movie. It is perfectly serviceable for the type of film it is aiming to be. So, that is my review of Alpha. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Alpha? What is your favorite Ice Age or prehistoric man film? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!